20th century was scarred by two devastating world wars. Millions perished, empires crumbled, the world order was reshaped. The seeds of these conflicts were sown in nationalism, economic rivalry, and a complex web of alliances. Today, similar tensions simmer beneath the surface of global politics. The rise of new powers, shifting alliances, and the resurgence of nationalist sentiments echo the volatile climate of the past. Europe, once the epicenter of global conflict, now stands at a crossroads. The post-Cold War era of relative peace is fading. New fault lines are emerging. The specter of a Third World War, once unthinkable, now looms as a distinct possibility. Understanding the forces at play is crucial to navigating the treacherous terrain of international relations. Eastern Europe has become a focal point of geopolitical tension. Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 shattered the illusion of a stable post-Cold War order. The ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine, fueled by Russian support for separatist forces, further destabilizes the region. NATO's eastward expansion, while intended to deter Russian aggression, has paradoxically fueled Russian paranoia and resentment. The Baltic states, once part of the Soviet Union, now fear Russian encroachment. Their small size and proximity to Russia make them vulnerable. Poland, a key NATO member, has bolstered its defenses in response to perceived Russian threats. The militarization of the region, driven by both NATO and Russia, increases the risk of accidental conflict. The situation is further complicated by the rise of nationalist governments in Hungary and Poland. These governments have clashed with the European Union over democratic values and the rule of law. Their nationalist rhetoric and policies, often directed against migrants and minorities, contribute to a climate of fear and instability. Their alignment with Russia on certain issues further complicates the geopolitical equation. The risk of a direct military confrontation between NATO and Russia remains low. However, the potential for miscalculation, fueled by mistrust and military build-up, is a serious concern. Cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and proxy conflicts could easily escalate into a wider confrontation. The stakes are high, and the consequences of a conflict in Eastern Europe would be felt globally. China's rise as a global power has reshaped the geopolitical landscape. Its growing economic and military might challenges the established world order. Its assertive foreign policy, particularly in the South China Sea, has raised concerns about its long-term intentions. China's Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project, extends its influence across Eurasia and beyond. China's growing military capabilities, including its expanding navy and advanced missile systems, pose a challenge to US military dominance. Its economic clout gives it leverage over countries dependent on Chinese trade and investment. Its authoritarian political system, coupled with its growing global ambitions, raises concerns about its commitment to international norms and cooperation. China's relationship with Russia, once marked by rivalry, has evolved into a strategic partnership. Both countries share a common interest in challenging the US-led international order. Their cooperation extends to military exercises, technology sharing, and economic coordination. This partnership, while not a formal alliance, poses a significant challenge to the West. China's rise is not inherently a threat to world peace. However, its growing power and assertiveness, coupled with its opaque decision-making process, create uncertainty and anxiety. The world needs a clear understanding of China's intentions and a framework for managing its rise peacefully. Engaging China in constructive dialogue and cooperation is essential to preventing a future conflict. The United States, the world's sole superpower for decades, faces a strategic dilemma. Its global leadership, once unquestioned, is now challenged by rising powers and internal divisions. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, costly and inconclusive, have eroded public support for military intervention. The rise of populism and nationalism at home has fueled isolationist sentiments. The US remains the world's leading military power, with a global network of bases and alliances. Its military budget dwarfs that of any other nation. Its technological edge, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence and cyber warfare, gives it a significant advantage. However, its ability to project power effectively is constrained by political and economic factors. The US faces a choice: retreat from global leadership or reassert its role as guarantor of international order. Retreat would create a power vacuum, fueling instability and conflict. Reassertion would require rebuilding alliances, strengthening international institutions, and restoring public trust in American leadership. The outcome of this dilemma will have profound consequences for global peace and security. A strong and engaged United States is essential to deterring aggression, mediating conflicts, and upholding international norms. A weak and disengaged United States would embolden aggressors, undermine international cooperation, and increase the risk of global conflict. Section 5: Flashpoints where sparks could ignite. The world is riddled with potential flashpoints where local conflicts could escalate into wider conflagrations. The South China Sea, with its overlapping territorial claims and growing militarization, is a prime example. A miscalculation or accident in this region could easily spark a confrontation between China and the United States. The Middle East, a cauldron of religious and ethnic tensions, remains a volatile region. The ongoing conflicts in Syria and Yemen, fueled by external powers, could spill over into neighboring countries. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, unresolved for decades, continues to simmer. A renewed outbreak of violence in this region could draw in regional and global powers. The Korean Peninsula, divided for over 70 years, remains a potential flashpoint. North Korea's nuclear weapons program and its unpredictable leadership create a constant threat. Any miscalculation or escalation on this peninsula could have disastrous consequences for the region and beyond. The Arctic, once a remote and frozen wasteland, is now a new frontier for competition. Melting ice caps open up new shipping routes and access to valuable resources. Russia, Canada, and the United States are all vying for influence in this strategically important region. The potential for conflict over resources and territory is growing. Section 6: The price of war, economic and human costs. The costs of war are immeasurable. The loss of human life is the most tragic consequence. Millions perished in the world wars of the 20th century. Countless more were injured, displaced, and traumatized. The human cost of war extends far beyond the battlefield, affecting generations to come. The economic costs of war are equally staggering. Wars consume vast resources, diverting funds from essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. They disrupt global trade, causing economic hardship and instability. The reconstruction and recovery process can take decades, leaving lasting scars on national economies. The environmental costs of war are often overlooked. Modern warfare employs weapons of mass destruction, causing widespread pollution and environmental degradation. Nuclear weapons, the ultimate weapon of war, have the potential to render entire regions uninhabitable for generations. The long-term environmental consequences of war are a threat to human health and survival. The social and psychological costs of war are profound. Wars shatter communities, erode trust, and fuel cycles of violence. They leave behind a legacy of trauma, grief, and bitterness. The psychological scars of war can linger for generations, manifesting in PTSD, depression, and other mental health issues. Section 7: The cyber battlefield, a new dimension of warfare. The digital age has ushered in a new era of warfare, fought not on physical battlefields but in the virtual realm of cyberspace. Cyber attacks launched by state and non-state actors target critical infrastructure, financial systems, and government institutions. They disrupt essential services, steal sensitive information, and sow chaos and confusion. Cyber warfare is characterized by its stealth, speed, and reach. Attacks can be launched from anywhere in the world, targeting any connected device or system. Attributing attacks is often difficult, making deterrence and retaliation challenging. The anonymity of cyber warfare emboldens aggressors and increases the risk of escalation. The implications of cyber warfare for international security are profound. It blurs the lines between war and peace, making it difficult to determine when a cyber attack constitutes an act of war. It creates new vulnerabilities for states and non-state actors alike. It undermines trust in the global digital infrastructure on which modern society relies. The international community is struggling to develop norms and rules for cyber warfare. The lack of clear guidelines increases the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Strengthening cyber defenses, developing international cooperation mechanisms, and establishing clear rules of engagement are essential to mitigating the risks of cyber warfare. Section 8: The diplomatic tightrope balancing peace and power. Diplomacy, the art of conducting negotiations between nations, plays a crucial role in preventing war and maintaining international order. It involves a delicate balance of power, persuasion, and compromise. Successful diplomacy requires clear communication, mutual understanding, and a willingness to find common ground. The United Nations, established in the aftermath of World War II, serves as a forum for international diplomacy and cooperation. Its charter mandates the peaceful settlement of disputes and the promotion of international peace and security. The UN Security Council, with its 5 permanent members, has the authority to impose sanctions and authorize military interventions. Regional organizations, such as the European Union and the African Union, also play a vital role in diplomacy and conflict resolution. They provide platforms for dialogue, mediation, and cooperation among member states. They promote economic integration, strengthen regional security arrangements, and foster a sense of shared purpose. The effectiveness of diplomacy depends on the willingness of states to engage in good faith, uphold international law, and respect each other's sovereignty. It requires strong leadership, skilled negotiators, and a commitment to finding peaceful solutions to complex issues. Section 9, the power of collective action. International organizations and alliances. International organizations and alliances play a crucial role in maintaining international peace and security. They provide a framework for cooperation, facilitate dialogue, and promote collective action in response to global challenges. They serve as a bulwark against aggression, uphold international norms, and promote economic and social development. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, a military alliance formed in 1949, is a prime example of collective security. Its founding principle is collective defense. An attack on one member is considered an attack on all. NATO's military capabilities and its commitment to collective defense serve as a deterrent against aggression. The European Union, EU, a political and economic union of 27 European countries, is another example of collective action. It promotes economic integration, fosters political cooperation, and upholds democratic values. The EU's collective economic and political weight gives it significant influence on the global stage. International organizations and alliances face numerous challenges, including internal divisions, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and the rise of nationalist sentiments. Strengthening these institutions, reforming their structures, and reaffirming their commitment to multilateralism are essential to preserving their effectiveness and relevance in the 21st century. Section 10. Avoiding the Abyss, a Path to Lasting Peace. The threat of a Third World War, while real, is not inevitable. Humanity has the capacity to learn from the mistakes of the past, choose cooperation over conflict, and build a more peaceful and sustainable future. Avoiding the abyss requires a concerted effort on multiple fronts. Strengthening international institutions, such as the United Nations and regional organizations, is essential to promoting dialogue, mediating disputes, and enforcing international law. Reforming these institutions to make them more representative, efficient, and accountable would enhance their legitimacy and effectiveness. Promoting sustainable development, reducing global inequality, and addressing the root causes of conflict are crucial to building a more just and peaceful world. Investing in education, healthcare, and economic opportunity for all would reduce poverty, frustration, and resentment, diminishing the appeal of extremist ideologies. Fostering intercultural understanding, promoting tolerance, and combating discrimination are essential to building bridges between cultures and mitigating the risks of conflict. Investing in educational and cultural exchange programs, promoting media literacy, and combating hate speech would contribute to a more harmonious world. The path to lasting peace is arduous and uncertain. It requires vision, courage, and unwavering commitment. It demands a collective effort, transcending national borders and ideological divides. The stakes are high, but the rewards are immeasurable. The future of humanity hangs in the balance.